Thank you. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's 6:30. I'm going to start a roll call, starting with Mr. McKenzie. Present. No. Give me your full name.
Stephen McKenzie.
Patty Porter.
James Connolly.
Clark Cresco.
Don Miller.
Chip Huzzy, Selectman Rep. Mark Connolly.
TV Fogarty Kale.
Kristen Cyphers.
Sharon Hesse McLaughlin.
Thank you. Charlotte, we have a quorum. There's only one gentleman not present. First of all, what I want to do, we need to approve the minutes of November the 30th and December the 6th. We're going to do this both of them at the same time, at the same time. So I assume that you've all read them. Anybody want to make a motion that we accept these?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes of Thursday, November 30th, and the minutes of Wednesday, November the 30th and December 6th.
I'll second.
A second. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Before we get into the meat or the budget, I would like to have Mrs. Karen to explain the right to know law so that we all understand.
Okay, it's just a matter of anytime a quorum is communicating, whether it's in person, electronically, email, that is a public meeting subject to the right to know law. And I got a few complaints this week that questions were asked on the budget committee to answer questions to the school board or school rep, and people were replying all. Can't do that. You can communicate one-on-one with a question and get an answer, but you can't reply all and include an entire group at the same time of a public board, because that's a violation of the right to know law.
Why? Why can't you?
Because it's electronic communication, and it constitutes a public meeting. You're an elected board, so you're only allowed to meet in public.
Yes.
So it's not posted, it starts to happen electronically.
Okay, that makes sense.
I apologize, I'm guilty of that, I did that this afternoon.
You weren't the only one.
Can we channel those through Charlotte?
Yes,
Yes.
if like everyone wants to ask a question, and like they want to take a poll of like, can we change the meeting to Tuesday? You don't reply all, but you can respond to Charlotte. One person can then take get the answer done, but it just can't be a communication with a board.
So then just
Same.
you have to take his answer and then report it to us?
Yeah, unfortunately, because then you start to negotiate and it becomes a meeting. And even if it's a simple thing, like what time is it, it's easy to then say, why don't we all vote no on this?
Yeah.
And then we're in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So just a nice reminder.
Okay.
So when questions are, when questions are encouraged ahead of time to receive
Right,
answers.
you can correspond to that one rep.
Okay.
Just don't have the entire budget committee, like when the question went out, it went out to everybody all as one question.
Right.
So responses were going back, reply all. That became a meeting.
Okay.
What if the response goes back to Charlotte?
Right,
Heard.
you just don't reply all, ever
Yeah.
on an elected board.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Carol. All right. This evening, we're going to take on the town budget. We're going to do a little bit differently than we've done in the past. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. So, starting on page 2 of the budget. Okay.
Callie, those orange ones that are on the binder, those are budgets for public view.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I assume everybody had time to look this over after our initial meeting. And there's, yeah, next page.
Mine, different book. for my.
No, you can.
General government. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Is there anything on this particular page that anybody's concerned about?
I have one question that covers the whole thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. On the basic proposed budget, Karen, what is the impact on the tax rate? Not counting the warrant articles, for the town only.
For the town only as it stands right now,
Yeah.
it puts the tax rate at $3.39, and it's currently $3.38.
Yep.
So
For the
it
town
increases
rate.
1 penny on the tax rate.
Right, and that's before we have our new valuations.
Yeah. Thank you.
The whole
I
town.
believe you have that in your book, too, Don.
Probably, but I didn't find it, so that's why I
Right
asked.
here. You have that.
Separate sheet.
Separate sheet.
But we have to take it seriously.
Anybody have any questions on page 2, please?
Honestly, I reviewed it before we came, the first time,
Yeah.
and I felt like every question I had was answered,
Yeah.
and legitimately so, and I feel that everything they're asking for is a legitimate request
I
and
have to,
important.
I have to agree with you in that respect. I'm going over it a couple times, and there's just a couple questions that came forth.
Certainly.
Okay?
You know, Tim, for
Yes, I am. Charlotte, Randy just came in at,
Randy was late, he just came in.
yeah,
So
we're all here.
The rest of the meeting.
6:38.
There was a question asked by Mark. Mark, you had asked Margie about staff development increase?
Yep.
Okay. The reason for that, Mark, is because of daily state deposits they have to make, okay?
Oh, 7.
Go to the bank, they have to drive there, all right? And the treasurer, whoever she or he may be, okay, is supposed to do this, but is not doing this, so that somebody else has to do it, my understanding. Is that right?
No, that's incorrect.
Sort of, kind of.
Correct, okay,
The treasurer is not supposed to do the state
that's what it
deposits.
is, okay, thank you.
But they have, sometimes they have, sometimes they haven't.
So somebody else has to do it, so that's the increase of the $13.91 in her particular, that particular line budget.
Right, that's mileage for the deputy or her to go to the bank.
So she wanted you to know this, so that's why I brought it up, okay?
She gets mileage
All right.
now. Not the treasurer.
Anybody have any other questions as we go along?
At the time, Margaret also
Go ahead.
said that having more than one person to be
Yes.
able to speak to a situation is important. And I believe that's so. So if she's also getting that training, then she's,
Yes.
in addition, going to be
Yes.
able to,
Be able to do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's important, having two perspectives
Yeah.
and two knowledgeable people.
While we're on this page,
Page,
page two.
7? Oh,
No, page two. We looked at that, but page two, but it's general code. I'm just wondering what the rationale of the 3% increase is this year. And my question would be something like, why not 2.75%?
Mr. Huzzy?
Well, it's very easily. Previous years, that wasn't even taking effect. The CPI growth in the economy, some of them were down. What was last year's, Karen?
2.25.
Yeah,
So we just looked at the growth, basically trying to make up for it a little bit. Staying within that CPI growth and being reasonable.
you have anything to add to that, Jeff? No? Okay. moving on, page 4, anything there outstanding? No, that's good. Get out of here before you know it. Page 7. This is the tax collector and the salary.
As I recall,
Go ahead.
the question I had on town clerk office expenses, I just want to verify, one of the comments was possible replacement of a printer, is that correct?
Yes,
Yes,
that's
it's
for
a state
that's for the
printer.
state printer, okay? That's okay with you, Mark? Yeah. Okay. All right, moving on. Page 10. Nothing there. Nothing there?
Because that night we asked a lot.
We did.
I feel the
We
same.
we asked a
I
lot of
really
questions
do.
that night, and a lot of
Yeah.
questions were answered. I just want to double check, just to make sure that we didn't miss anything. There's a couple things coming on
Yeah, I
down the
agree.
line.
Yeah.
Right now, I just want to make sure that, everybody's on the same page. Nothing's going to be overlooked, okay? Take care of that for Margie. That's all set. Just keep going and see if there's anything.
So I just had a general question, Bob,
Go ahead.
maybe to Karen. So I'm just curious about the emergency fund. So is,
Emergency fund,
oh, the retainage, the 2.
undesignated fund balance, okay?
Sorry, we use different
Yeah.
language in school board. So your $2.2 million fund, I'm just curious as to why is it $2.2 million? And then what was the rationale of taking the only 85,000 out of it this year?
The selectmen are looking to use that on an annual basis for the next few years to beef up the capital reserve funds for road construction, to catch up with some of the infrastructure repairs, is the main thing. And they could have used more, but they didn't want to have a huge decrease in the tax rate. It's much easier for residents to have a stable rate. So they could have used more, and the tax rate could have dropped another 10 cents or 15 cents and then jumped back up the next year. So the goal is to use that basically as a stabilization fund to try and keep a fairly flat tax rate.
But are they targeting a certain percentage, or do you already have an idea what capital reserve is going to be, or?
I think the selectmen do. The targeted percentage, we don't want to have a fund balance less than 1.5, 1.7 million, ever, because that's our cash flow, so that we have cash in the bank basically before the tax bills go out in July. Otherwise, we don't function.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
And the county tax is gone to a fiscal year for 2018, so we have to pay 18 months of the county tax this year rather than just 12 months. And that's $768,000. So we'll be able to pull from fund balance and absorb that blip so that the taxpayers don't feel a up and a down again.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that I understand. So we're talking about the unreserved fund balance, right?
Correct.
So the unreserved fund, those monies come from where,
They come from revenues that come in above what we anticipated
right?
and expenditures that aren't spent at
Right.
the year end.
Okay. And so they just accumulate. Can those funds be used on anything?
Yes, with DRA's permission. It has to be an emergency with
Okay,
DRA's
so that has
permission.
to be an to use those funds, that has to be an emergency.
Correct, other than to offset the tax rate, which the selectmen do every year, is to offset the tax rate, to keep it stable. The year before, we used I think $285,000.
Yep.
It's whatever to try and keep things as a flat rate. Otherwise, you'll have tax rates that, jump up 60 cents, drop down 40,
Right.
and we
So-
don't want that to happen.
So, talking about emergencies. So what would constitute an emergency? For example, we come to December 1st, and we don't have any more, we spent all the appropriated money.
Yep.
And some kind of,
And we have a big
and it
sinkhole
snows
in the
like
road.
crazy. Is that an
It-
emergency?
Or we have a sinkhole in a road that we
Right.
have to spend $1 million to fix it, or the fire truck,
Okay,
crashes and burns. We have to pay to have that fixed, and that's
right.
where those funds would come from, and then DRA would retroactively approve that appropriation, showing it was an emergency.
Okay, and we currently have 2.2 million in that fund,
Yes.
which we never want to go below 1.5 to 1.7.
Right,
Right?
yeah.
Vaughn?
And also Vaughn Morgan, Holly Lane, the unreserved fund balance also, we have a lot of things that people are looking at as far as schools go, as far as roads go, as far as maybe a possible fire station or a library. This helps us, gives us a good credit rating as far as our bond rating goes too. So if we're up there really secure, we get pretty good rates, as we did when we went for a bond in our last road repairs. So that makes us look good on there.
What is our bond rating, do you know?
We don't have a AAA bond rating. We don't, because you can pay, it costs you money to get that bond rating. So we don't do that. But when we went to market for the last bond, it went out to auction. And we got an extremely attractive, I think it was 1.37.
Yeah, it was really, really low.
It was lower than what New
We had
Hampshire Bond Bank was
added
offering.
a few more things in there when we got the money because it was such a low rate. I mean, such a
They like
great
us.
rate.
They like us. Banks like us.
Yeah.
Right, we have very little long-term debt. We have the road and the school debt, that's it.
Thank you.
What's left, Karen, what's left on the school, 5 years?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
That's not.
2020, I think, is our last year. 2022.
We're
getting close.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Get enough money for it.
Just trying to put a new addition on.
Yeah,
Like
just-
your chop. There's a proposal in your book. I'd like to have Mr. Morgan discuss that with us about the trimming and stuff, the windows in the building here.
Is that the Stephen Tops one?
Top one, yes.
That's actually the AID Act that we're gonna do, the plastic, replacing all the whiteboard and white pine that's rotted, replacing that with plastic board.
And windows?
No
Yes.
windows, were the windows in that? Yeah.
If there's money available, it's gonna be a warrant article.
Oh, it is?
Yep,
Oh,
for $35,000 to replace the trim and any exterior repairs that we need on the building. There's some doors on the sides that need to be replaced, and
That's why
this
we're not
year,
discussing warrant articles, because we haven't discussed it.
right, this is all draft for the board.
What's the $5,200, the labor and materials, is that in the budget?
No,
No.
no,
It's gonna
we
be a
didn't
warrant.
put it in the
I
budget.
know, but that's a different number then.
I know, this number here is $5,235.
This will be part of the $35,000 warrant article. So we're not really considering this.
Right, and these are numbers that I
Just
put
a heads
together,
up.
the board may totally change them next week.
Okay.
All right,
Good enough.
Again, why we're not discussing warrant articles tonight.
pretty good. Well, we got it, yeah.
Remember, Bob,
Yes,
vinyl is finance.
yes, I know
Right,
that.
famous last words. Please meet the woodpecker.
Right. Anybody else have any questions on the town?
Nope.
Jamie? Stevie, you haven't been here, so have you?
Well, I looked.
I know you've had
looked at it.
anything there. It looks pretty flat.
Everything looks fine.
Yeah.
And just because I will be asking a number of questions on the school side about the default budget. The town default budget, there were a couple of items that I didn't know, there were increases that I didn't know whether the reasoning behind.
I got it
We gotta go back and look at it.
Let's see. Do you know which
Well,
account?
I gotta find my thing on the default budget. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, it's in the front of the
Yeah.
budget book too.
But that's where it is. And again, these are very minor anyway, so. Where is the default?
There's a page very early on that says 2018 to.
Oh, here it is,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, like, now, can assessing be thrown in there?
Yes, the assessing is in there because it's two contracts for the statistical update that's required by the Department of Revenue every 5 years.
Okay.
And if they've been contracted and DRA has approved those contracts. It's a $34,000 blip, yes.
Can you just explain what the DWI grant / speed?
Those are funds that the police department receives through the state highway safety for targeted overtime shifts, for street patrols, for DWI, for speeding.
That's actually revenue?
Yes, it's a match.
Okay,
We get 100% of that back, so we spend it, and so it shows as a budget line item in her police budget, and then it also shows on my revenue page.
okay.
Okay.
Yep, that's good.
Okay, all set, Steve? Okay. Then move on to the police. My understanding is that a new secretary is going to be starting Monday
Yes,
on the police department.
yeah, and she's part-time until after town meeting. If the budget passes, then that position will go full-time.
Okay, thank you.
She's 35 hours, and the position has been 35 for years. So it's been in the New Hampshire retirement system, it's just never gotten any benefits. So if this passes, after town meeting, it'll go to a 40-hour position.
There is something that came up today. I was talking with the chief today to answer Mark's questions at the last meeting about fuel.
Oh, yeah, that went down.
Yes, fuel, according to the state, she just got the notice, is $2.08 a gallon. But, and there's always a but, because they have to go to Hampton to get it, the extra mileage is not worth going there, okay? So they are gonna get fuel here in town, either from Truck Stop or from Cumbies. They have a card. And that is gonna be $2.43 a gallon instead of the proposed $2.86, okay?
I have a question about that.
Yes.
Has the Cumbies on Woodbury Ave been considered as a happy medium between Hampton and Greenland?
You're going the other way,
Not, it's.
Newington.
Okay, so Hampton is far, Woodbury is not as far, and the gas is probably like 20 cents cheaper there all the time.
I don't know who they're dealing with in Hampton.
Right, they can go to any station now that takes the WEX card, and all of the
Yep.
Cumberland Farms do. Because we have this credit card now for the fuel that's called the WEX card. That company takes off all of the state taxes that we don't have to pay prior to us getting billed.
So in essence, what this does, it takes $2,000 off her budget. Nothing wrong with that.
No,
Right, she's requesting a
She wanted-
decrease,
that's gonna be changed.
Yeah, she's,
Okay.
right, she's requesting a decrease in that fuel line to $14,580.
let's see, what page is that on?
30?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want to change that, At 16,000 to.
to 14,580.
580 is the new figure.
Good, yes,
So that was good.
That's one motion I won't have to make.
What's that?
I said, that's one motion I won't have to make.
That's right.
How long is that contract with Hampton, do you know?
It's until they run out of the gas. They buy it bulk, and that's why we went to the Wex cards this year, because when they had bought it in bulk, the last batch, it was significantly higher. So we stopped using it because it was cheaper for us to get it closer.
Basically, the state's is delving into the futures market.
I know,
And that can be pretty dangerous as far as fluctuation. It works bad if the price falls out, but it works real good if the price goes through the roof.
I don't know how the futures market works, I was just wondering how long, it's not like how long we
I
had.
don't know. I
Yeah,
didn't see
they
the
bought a
basic
bunch, and
futures.
when it runs out, then it's subject to the next time they purchase.
I still though, that's a 35-cent a gallon difference, that's a lot of money.
Well, but it's a 35-cent difference without the taxes being removed. The taxes still get removed, so even if the pump says 237, we're not paying that.
No.
The Wex card processes the taxes out for us, so then we're still only
Okay.
paying like $2.07.
Okay, okay.
There's over 40 cents a road in
Yeah.
federal state,
Okay.
federal taxes on it.
Yeah, we don't pay
Okay, oh,
those.
I didn't realize that, okay, good.
Because of the mileage going,
Can I
it
get that?
makes
Right.
a lot of sense.
I
know
Get
it.
that
I
card.
know it.
No, you can't get that card. You have to have like a special plate on your vehicle.
So then we'll get the special
Yeah.
plate then.
It says
Is
MP.
that fixed price, 243?
For the state? No.
No.
No, no, the Wex card, we pay the pump price minus the state taxes.
Okay, so we get blip like we did, how many years?
Then we'll be
ago?
going to
10 years
Hampton and
ago?
picking it up there.
$4 a gallon, okay.
Yep, so it gives us the two options.
Yeah.
The state got too expensive, so we went with this Wex for local, and the local pump for the state closed in Northampton.
Okay, everybody understands that? Anybody have any questions on it at all?
Well, I'm just under new equipment, what new equipment is planned?
For the new hire, I think that was.
Yes.
Yes, that's what, $4,000?
$6,809.
Yeah, that's for the new patrol. Patrolman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boots,
One.
uniform.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's one retirement.
Oh, yeah.
A
One
female
last-
that doesn't fit him.
And we have another one leaving in a couple weeks. Dawn's leaving.
Yeah.
She's going to her new job.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have the list of all the things that she's looking for, supplies and everything.
She does a good job.
She does an excellent job. Yeah. Takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Training equipment, computer services, repairs, cruisers, anything is spelled out, prices and everything. I don't see anything. Do you see anything? Jeff, see anything yet? I don't.
No, everything was pretty much spelled out.
It is.
I have a question on page 32.
Okay. I haven't seen that page.
The DWI grants, so that's money that comes in, so to be able to spend it, we have to.
We have to gross appropriate it, yes.
Okay, so if more comes in than we have appropriated,
Can't do it. She'll have to find that in the other places in her budget. But it won't more won't come in. We apply for the grants, then they tell us, and they've already told us for 18, this is what you've been awarded.
okay.
So it doesn't come in any
Okay.
higher.
Okay, thanks,
We ask for more. We take what we get.
all right,
Right, Mark?
yep.
Anybody see anything? Oh, your homework? I'm impressed. There's nothing else on the police budget.
Nothing.
Excuse me?
Nothing. Now, are we going on to fire at this
Yes,
point?
we are going on to fire. His is pretty flat.
I have a question about fire.
Go ahead, Deb.
So, I don't know the answer to this, so I'm wondering if anyone else does. I know that the increase in EMT supplies is largely due to the Narcan that Greenland has. And I also know that we don't have control over who Greenland gives this Narcan to. And I'm wondering, is there any program where Greenland can get this subsidized from the state or from the federal government?
Yes and no. Each patient that is administered Narcan is an ambulance run, and their insurance company or Medicare is billed. So unless they are with no income, no insurance, then we don't get reimbursed for it. But if it's a patient that's, a resident that has insurance or, Medicare, Medicaid, it's paid for.
So how would that funnel back into the budget though?
It doesn't funnel into the budget, it funnels into the Fire Ambulance Special Revenue Fund,
Okay.
Which is a revolving fund where all the ambulance funds go in. It's currently at $191,000.
Yep.
That builds to buy the ambulance every 8-9 years, it buys the fire trucks.
Okay.
It's money that we gain, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
So
it goes into a fund and then it's used to replace stuff so that you don't see it in the budget. You'll see it in the budget to
Right.
approve.
It can only be
Yeah.
spent by a vote of town meeting.
Right.
So it seems like this went up, but actually we're still getting kind of reimbursed for something.
Yes, ambulance revenue is up substantially. 2 of our EMTs have gone to paramedic level, so we're able to do advanced life support things now that we couldn't, and administer other drugs that we bill for that we weren't even allowed to do before.
Great.
Question answered, Tim?
Yeah, great.
Okay. That's what we like. Any other questions on fire department? No?
It's a general question, Bob, again, just the, I know we've been, a couple of years ago, they talked about the fact that they're having trouble finding employees. And I know, and Vaughn just mentioned about the new fire station. I'm just kind of curious about the longer term plan, if that's ever been presented. Because I know they want to go full time with the lieutenants now. Is this kind of phase 1 to get them where they need to go? And where is it that we're going to go?
There was a complete study done by Municipal Resources, Inc. To study our entire fire department. That you'll see as in the expenditure of consultants that we just spent $10,000 for this study. They anticipate the 2 full-time with some type of support staff is sufficient for the next 5 years. And the study recommends that the impetus is in the facility at this point. And that staff-wise, we're functioning well. And they don't see another increase for 5 years on staffing.
Right, yep.
At the present growth rate.
Right, at the present town growth rate, right.
We had it right here, and all the selectmen was there, Dawn and I were present. And he gave a very good presentation, made a lot of sense. It's something that's coming down the road, there's no question about it.
Nobody wants to spend the money, put it bluntly.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to.
You're gonna have to, you know?
I have another quick question for Chip. I'm usually just all for anything police and fire need. Of course, they keep us safe and everything. I just was wondering if you could elaborate quickly on what the rationale was for the increase of the $15,000 increase in the chief's salary this year.
I'm gonna pass that to Vaughn, because I was the only one that voted neither for or against it, because it's kind of thrown at me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and this wasn't, this is a figure I came up with, all right? I know what fire chiefs and assistant fire chiefs are making around this particular area. And they're making a heck of a lot more than our fire chief is making, part-time or full-time. And so, in my opinion, we're getting the best bang for our buck you could possibly ask for. He does an awful lot of things that people don't even know about, spends his own money and everything else. And he's done it, he doesn't complain or anything else. So I threw that figure out, threw it out to the board, and the rest of the board, went for it. I think it's fair and justified. He does a great job.
Follow up on that. I remember last year discussion about the chief possibly not, at least I think I remember, not doing it for that much longer.
Right. He owns National Record, all right, that's a record company that goes up and down the East Coast. And his business is just booming, and he takes care of all the speedways and everything else. As much as he loves being fire chief, he's done a great job and everything else. He said, I just got to back out. He just can't do it all, you know. So probably within the next 2 years, he will be ebbing out slowly. The MRI report asked, kind of requested that he stay on for the next couple of years to break the people in, train them, and do that sort of thing. So, you know, he's agreed to do that. He'll stay on as long as he needs to. But then he said, I'm getting to the point my hair's falling out.
A mouse.
Just a joke. Yeah, I don't know if you ever met Ralph, but he doesn't have any hair. But eventually, within the next couple of years, he's going to be backing out.
All right. Thanks.
If I can make a comment, and I know Ralph, and I know probably not everything he's done for the town, but for 30-some years, I know he's been doing so. So I probably don't have a big quibble with this, but my comment is, that's a big chunk in 1 year, and I'm not sure it's a good precedent to be setting. That's my comment.
And a good comment. My reaction to that is that I want to keep him on here, and because at least for the next couple of years to train these guys. And I think, you know, it's the old saying, if you're going to pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys to do your work.
Well, one of the reasons I feel good about it is I believe Ralph will stay as long as we need him to stay.
He will,
And that's
he will.
and there's a value to that.
Yeah, and I don't want to take advantage of that either, you know.
But he didn't ask for that this
No,
year.
nope, that
See,
was
that's
all
the
for
thing,
me.
so last year he asked.
That's
for
all
that.
his fault. My
He
fault.
asked
He
for the
he got a
10,000.
10K raise last
He asked for it for 10,000
Yes,
last year.
last year.
And this year he was, without even asking, was given 15. I guess that's why I'm kind of struggling.
Yeah,
with this too.
the precedent is what I'm concerned about.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I could see
Yeah.
10,000 again, plus the 2.75 or 3% raise that everybody else is getting around here, so.
Well, as I say again, I will reiterate, you're getting a damn good bang for your buck right here with Ralph, I can tell you that.
But I think you could make that argument for everybody who helps our town too. I mean, our fire chief, our police chief, our principal, our vice principal, our teachers.
Mhm.
I feel like we're getting a great bang for our buck with everybody who helps our town.
I think we are too.
They're getting paid a lot more though than.
But they're getting
fire
paid a
chief.
heck of a lot.
All right, well, that's.
I agree with Juan. I think he's been doing this for years for very little compensation.
Mhm.
But a comment, that's what I have trouble with. We have to be careful about the precedent we set.
I agree.
When we go back and say, oh, well, somebody did, how many years did you work the reclamation?
29, for nothing.
So it's just a precedent I think we have to be careful with.
But beyond this, we're gonna be facing an expense higher than that for another person.
I agree, which might be a reason why maybe we should save the money now.
And also keep in mind that when Ralph leaves, that goes. It's gone.
Are you, yeah, but we don't know that.
Well, what is
It doesn't go, it doesn't go, that's kind of a misstatement, because you're gonna have to hire a chief.
And that's
Right.
already gonna be in there. and the
It's gonna be
person-
about, that's gonna be about
That's how much
$100,000.
That
new chief's gonna make a lot more than 50.
I mean, there's no
Yeah.
question about that.
$35,000.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I voted for it.
Yeah, I mean, we're.
If you were to walk out right now, you're looking at $135,000.
And that's just a comment.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying.
Right, no, I think we should have been paying him from the very beginning.
One person at a
Not
time, please.
just starting it
My
now.
second point was, but
Exactly.
One person talk at a time, please. Because while you're talking, we can't understand what you're saying, okay, please.
What is his salary?
35,000,
And surrounding fire chiefs get,
100,000.
80, 90,
like
100.
Rye, and Bloomington,
Yeah.
Rice part-time, I think he's up around 85. And Vincent probably close to about the
Because
same.
this is the type of information we need in order to justify.
Yeah, I feel like we need
Yeah.
actual numbers and actual like duties of these other chiefs, not just like, I think they make 90, I think they're part-time. Like, if those are actual stats, then okay, but I feel like if, in order to make an educated decision, it would be more helpful to have like these
I guess what I'm saying, what I think is, he should have been paid a lot more a long time ago. And I don't understand, like, I do know that fire chiefs make a lot more than 35,000 a year, and he's been making, what,
He started at 150.
1,000? I mean, what,
$150 a year, was
So-
raised to 500.
Well, 'cause
So-
it's a volunteer, right? I mean, for the most part.
Is it? It's
all paid
100%
call now.
volunteer.
It's got paid call.
Oh, okay.
But if I may just jump in for a minute.
My mistake, I'll get
I questioned the raise also, okay, and I went through and got some further information. Number one, because you had paid call, each individual who was getting paid has to put in a time card. So who reviews the time cards? Fire chief. So he has to come down here in the afternoon, once a week, twice a week maybe, do payroll, submit it.
But his wife does that.
Huh?
His wife does that.
No, he reviews the card, she does the actual paperwork.
Okay, so
To
she
make
does-
sure that the person who was on call was actually the person who wrote.
And she gets paid for that, right?
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
his wife gets the stipend.
Sorry, Don, I didn't mean to.
Okay.
Go ahead, continue.
And along with that, scheduling, making sure that there are people available. I can't get into any detail whether he actually calls people, but there are things like that. Maintenance of equipment, well, yes, he may have a firefighter say, go check this, but he still has a responsibility to see that it gets fixed. Basically, Rye, a few years back, went to a part-time chief. And Skip Sullivan was a part-time chief there, and what was he working, 32 hours a week, I believe?
Yeah.
And he was getting in the vicinity of $60,000. He didn't get Benny's state retirement because he was already in the retirement system. And I think I'm not sure about his medical. There was another place recently that just put in a part-time.
They're still on part-time, that Riley's went to,
The new guy, Mark.
the guy from Northampton, what's his name?
No, Rye just replaced the
Lampert.
fire chief with the former fire chief in Concord, Mass. Mark Connolly's his name.
So that's third.
Sounds familiar. Yeah, I met him about 2 weeks ago. And I think that he's gone full-time now because they just needed more of a full-time chief. Again, I questioned it, I discussed several times with the selectmen. And as a former fire chief in New Greenland, I think it's a call to catch up. I think it's kind of maybe if you want to gather a backdoor reward for what he has done on his own all these years. And I also kind of questioned and challenged the selectmen that when he leaves, or even if it doesn't go as long as when he leaves, that if these new lieutenants come on and start filling some of the voids in the areas that he's been filling, then that salary can be reduced at a later time. But I think basically what they explained to me is they want to pay him this year for what they feel they need him to do to get this department to continue to operate in a manner in which we're used to it. Okay, and again, the days of the volunteer that came running down here wanted to join the fire department so he could get a pair of boots and a helmet no longer exist. I don't know how many of you here have spouses, but how many families in Greenland are now 2 people working? Okay, they don't have the time to do the training, so he has to go out and chase these people. And then when he gets them, he trains them, and they take off and get a job at another fire department, and they no longer, because of their union affiliation, can come back and help out in Greenland. So I think there's a little more to it than actual physical work. I think there's the planning and the preparing and the getting these people and investing in them. So my personal opinion is I feel that it's well-deserved at this time.
I think the longer-term picture, though, is we've heard about these 2 new positions helping us by a couple of years. Ralph staying on for a couple of more years. Maybe we need to start planning for beyond that and looking at maybe cooperative efforts with other towns, and getting beyond where we are now or where we will be after this budget period, to keep the sky from falling in and expenses, getting way out of whack. So I think we start thinking about beyond those 2 years coming up, in the next couple of years.
Can I make one more comment?
Go ahead.
And my comment is to the selectmen. I appreciate the fact, though, that this is put in the budget this way, so that people see it and vote on it. The only reason I want to make that thanks is because there have been instances in the past when things like this have been done, but they've been done after the fact. And people didn't get a chance to vote on them,
Right.
which I really have a problem with.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the fact that it was at least done this way.
So is that okay with you people? Is that all right? Have your questions been answered?
Yes, my question's been
Okay. Nothing you want to do? This is it.
Well, I mean, there's going to be other times. My comment is, if this comes up for a vote, I'm probably going to vote yes. Only because I don't like the precedent of it. I would vote no for the precedent. But Greenland's not a big megalopolis yet. We're still a small enough town that we can do things for people like Ralph Presta that have served the town for years and years and years. So I would probably vote there. But, I mean, I assume this isn't the final time where we're going to make motions on any
No,
adjustments.
we'll
to
have
the
one more
budget.
time.
So, yeah,
We'll have one more time.
right.
Right, and that'll be at public hearing. Then you'll review it after public hearing?
Yeah.
I just add one thing to it
Yep.
because I noticed that there's a line for fuel oil average of 80 gallons per month at $2.79, and that's going to go down.
Right, this
Also-
would be the time to do that.
Yeah. Thank you, Don. That is going to go down. I missed that.
You haven't figured by any
Except
chance?
for, I don't mean to interrupt, except for at least past history shows us, that's not high enough, what's on there is not a high enough number. There's only a couple of lines
Did I
on the
get that?
budget that I looked at and said, this isn't enough money. That's one of them.
Right, it has been overspent for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And as of right now, it's at 5,928 as of today.
I will warn you, diesel fuel and gasoline is probably one of the most volatile things, and all your budgets are with police and fire are wags. They're wild guesses. If they're gonna even come close. The market could collapse, the market could go through the roof.
And it's dependent on our calls. You know,
And that's the other thing.
if the
They're
fire
probably
trucks
not
don't
going
roll, then we're not using gas, but when they roll, they use a lot of gas.
Oh, yeah.
This card that you're
The Wex
using,
cards? Mhm.
is that locked in?
No,
It's not
no, we
locked
can
in.
play, we can
Whatever
look at
they-
which gas station is lower, and whether it's feasible to go there versus the state.
Okay.
Change my mind, leave it the way it is.
My recommendation.
Oh, okay. Anybody see anything else there? No? Just a quick comment. That meeting that we had here a few weeks ago was very, very interesting. A lot of people in town don't realize what we're facing here in this town. We have over 100 new houses in the last year and a half. That's a lot of people. That means that we have to be prepared, not only school-wise, but police-wise, fire-wise, to serve these people. And we've known this for years, and they're gonna need a new station eventually, and a full-time fire department in order to, take care of these people. So we're trying to put it off as long as we can, but the day's gonna come where it's gonna end. We're gonna have to do it.
Is it the CIP that's in charge of not in charge of
Yeah.
forecasting?
Yeah.
So we have these large, I'm kind of getting off topic here, but we got the roads,
Yeah.
we got the library, we got the fire station, Is there like a master thing where we can see certain spend, tax impact, let's
Yes.
project 5 years out, let's,
And that's done every year, that's the capital improvement plan.
That's
It
what planning
started
board's
at,
supposed to do.
right, it started at the planning board level, I'm not sure where the status is with the planning board this year on it. But we do have last year's in place that does pull those things out 5 years.
Can I get a copy of that?
Sure. The current one?
Yeah, the current one.
To answer your question, Steve, as far as doing a cooperative, right now, the Seacoast is, I don't want to lose control of my town. So it doesn't seem to be going that direction. But to be honest with you, manpower-wise, you never save money on it.
What, can you repeat what you just, the beginning of that?
Regionalization.
Regionalization, you never save money on manpower, you save it on equipment like crazy.
Well, and that's what I was getting at. I think we're gonna need a chief, we're gonna need, these two people and maybe probably beyond that more. So it's just, so we don't get hit blindside with a bunch of things. We just start looking at it, and I know you guys are doing that, so.
Yeah, I believe it's painful seeing changes, but it has to happen.
The thing that I would caution here is, I think there are a lot of positives to what you guys are talking about, equipment-wise for sure. But what the school is going through right now with the combination of all these different school districts is now causing kind of an issue. And so we would want to kind of think about that in the back of our heads in terms of the town resources. Like, we wouldn't want to be at a disadvantage a couple more years, so we're paying a lot of money into these other towns, I just think it's something maybe just to.
Well, the real simple example I like to use, not every town needs a ladder truck, but every fire chief wants one.
We've been talking the last 2-3 years about collaboration, and it just hasn't been feasible.
It's really centralized in New England. Nobody wants to give up control. It's local rule. And that's what it is. They just don't want to give that up. And it's a tough thing to break.
If I may make a comment that's just a little bit off. Grafsko keeps talking about this MRI report. It was at a selectmen's meeting that this report was revealed. I attended as a member of the town of Greenland, and he attended as the chairman of the budget committee, so we didn't go there behind your backs to get this information. I attend most selectmen's meetings just to see what's going on, so.
And the recording is on our website, people can listen to it.
It's recorded.
It's a good meeting.
But I didn't want anybody to think that we stuck.
Oh, you snuck in?
And,
Yeah, no, we send the agenda out to
and
everybody.
they didn't know anything about it,
They actually heard there was free food.
You get the information that we do, it's agenda and it's on.
Pumpkin pie, that brought.
Yeah, we send it to everyone.
Actually, MRI is a very appropriate name for a study.
Okay, let's get to the subject at hand here. Everybody all done with page 37? Nothing again.
I'm on page 60.
38, nothing. We're all set with the chief. Okay, let's move on to the next, which is not much. It's
Building and
and emergency
management.
management, which is very, very small. Anybody have any questions there? No, I don't see anything.
This emergency management, is that most all in and out?
Yes, it's all in and out.
Yeah.
We just have to gross appropriate it.
Public Works,
I have a question.
go ahead, sorry.
Did you have a question?
No.
A comment?
No, I asked if you were having a question.
Okay, so I noticed from our meeting last time that the building that is, the town is asking to replace for $10,000. Okay. So
That's a
the
transfer
original-
Transfer station.
Yeah,
Transfer
Yes.
Yeah.
To replace the shed that the
Yeah.
recycling employees were having, $10,000. So the original building was donated in the 1980s. Do we know any information about like who donated it?
Yes.
Could that possibly happen again? Did we look into that?
It was donated through New England Homes, and they're no
Yes.
longer in
They're no
Greenland.
longer in business.
New England Homes used to be on Ocean Road, and they did modular homes, and they donated several sheds for us.
We should talk to Sheds USA.
I got the one in the Crystal Field, I got that.
We've tried.
You should have looked at Bramber to that,
That's why they threw me out.
the whole Bramber development.
I tried to get sidewalks, and that didn't work.
Well, I mean, did any,
I know.
I mean, was that even a consideration? I mean, it would be nice to, I mean, it's not that huge of an amount, but if it were something that maybe, it was donated in the past, maybe someone could donate it again, and then the name of their business could be on it, I don't know, just throwing that out there.
We can look into that.
That's a good point.
Thanks, Bob.
I would do something like that,
Okay.
okay?
Personally?
Yes, I've done it many times in this town, okay? But people that I dealt with are no longer here, all new people. You know, you have to go out and find out, you know.
Bob drove them all away.
Hey, I saved this town a lot of money in 29 years, I'll tell you right now. But I was thinking they did the same thing you did. There's somebody new that moved into Ocean Road.
Boise Cascade,
Yes.
but they don't build anything there, they just sell lumber.
That's just
Oh.
warehousing.
Okay,
See, that's the problem with that. That was great, because they could do that out of scrap lumber.
yeah,
Pound it together and it's done. That's why it was a write-off for them. And it-
well, you know, there was one gentleman in town, he's no longer, he sold his business, that I was thinking of hitting up. Holloway, but he sold his business here in town, he was very good to us.
Yep.
I mean, every time we wanted $1,000, $2,000, I'd go see him and he'd give it to us. But he's no longer here. So, we like to deal with people that we know in town.
Right.
And
Why don't they
But
have
it's
new
what-
owners, the
We
new owners?
can carry
Oh,
it,
there's
but
new
if
owners.
someone donates it, we'll forgive them.
There's new owners there.
Yeah, but I understand she's tight as a.
Can they have a fundraiser at the transfer station, like the, you know, like how the fire?
Yeah, you guys
people
could
have a
pay, you could pay,
Bucket of boot, you know?
right, rather than on a tax bill, but $10,000 is,
We're having
you
troubles
know,
enough getting them to pay for the
a penny.
solid waste disposal.
I'm trying.
Well, yeah, the Green and Company, I'm sure they make good
I'd rather get somebody to
No, they
donate
could
to
have
the
made
fire
a little
station.
house.
Yeah, that would be even better.
You could call Jason Washington.
She just hit the nail on the head. People that built these houses out back. Who built those?
The Green.
Green.
Green. How do we get in touch with them? No, I'll go approach them.
How do you get in touch with them?
Yeah.
Their office is in Hampton next door.
I mean, I
Northampton, yeah.
can give you all that information.
Would you? Fine, we're gonna talk about that later.
All right.
But leave the money there for now,
Yeah.
because we still have to gross appropriate, and then we accept the donation.
Can't
Work
do a
on it,
budget on
right,
it.
work on it.
Right.
Jason Washington is also.
Don't want to hear about it.
Sure, maybe somebody will donate
JD Ellis.
Not at 800,000.
My assistant here just said that maybe we should talk to Dee Dee Cook. And I said, he just made a big donation for the vets.
Right, and
Donate.
Mr. Cook is actually very generous.
Yes, he is.
He does he just donated a check that we'll be accepting at the next selectmen's meeting to the police department for Shop with a Cop, where they choose a family in town that's a needy family, and they take them shopping at Target, and he has funded the whole thing.
That's nice. I like that.
I bet he would like it more if his name was on a building now.
She's got his name on the building.
At the transfer station.
Hey, it's pretty amazing. That's still next year.
I'm just kidding, that's so nice.
Yeah, the one in the center of Greenland is in the.
Right, right.
Okay, Public Works, anything there?
Roads. I
Roads,
think we should have a
yes,
frank discussion about roads.
roads. How many roads are we gonna be repairing this coming year, Karen?
It's gonna be based on the survey that we had done through Underwood Engineers.
Yep.
The plan right now was the next three on the list, which was the first section of Portsmouth Avenue, Tuttle Lane we were able to move up, so we can switch that out. Ann's Lane, so Tuttle Lane will get replaced with something else. Because based on numbers, we were able to put Tuttle Lane in this year. Oh, that was put in because we received a special highway safety payment from the state for extra road paving, and it couldn't be something that had already been budgeted, so that's where we did Tuttle Lane from. Because we received $78,000 from the state.
Tuttle Lane, Portsmouth Avenue, Lola, where, down here? You said Portsmouth Avenue.
Section 1, which is the first section we redid, so it's going to be the section that starts at the
Gazebo?
end of Post Road, yes.
The gazebo, down,
Yes.
going down towards 33?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So the subtotal, 200,000, less 70?
No, 200,000. We'll replace that with the next street on the list. We're trying to maintain the 185,000 to get caught up. That had been 120,000 for several years, and then paving costs went up. So instead of getting 4 streets done every year, we went down to 2 streets every year. The streets last 15 years, 12 to 15 years, depending on the amount of traffic that they have. So we want to keep up with that cycle. There's a couple of really bad streets still in town. We had the warrant article last year for 300,000. Those bids were just opened yesterday. The selectmen aren't aware of any of this yet, but that's Willowbrook Ave, and the low bid came in at 319. So we're already going to be tipping into that to balance that.
In Willowbrook, that's it for this year? Is that-
No, this year and you mean in 17 or 18? 18 will be that Portsmouth Ave section, Ann's Lane,
Okay.
Willowbrook. And Willowbrook is 17 funds for the most part
Yeah,
of
we're
it
encumbering those funds for Willowbrook to do it.
to carry forward.
Yep.
And then whatever is next on the list from Underwood, we'll bump Tuttle Lane out because we got that done. We'll move another street up. I want to say it was Megan is close. I think Megan is the next one that will move up.
Was that you?
Yeah, I just didn't know if anybody
Okay.
else had any questions.
Question for the selectmen. 911, that all done?
No. I'm just asking. We got, our next major problem, I think, is what, Great Bay? Great Bay Road. So we're gonna get new vests. Bulletproof.
Yeah, what's taking so long?
Oh my goodness, it's a 90-day process as it is.
Come to these meetings, you'll see what takes us so long.
No, I'm just curious how far that you've gotten with
Well,
this.
Portsmouth Ave is still on the list too,
Why?
because Portsmouth Ave starts in Portsmouth and it stops and then it starts again at 33 and
No,
it
you're
stops
wrong.
and then it
No,
comes
you're
down
wrong.
here.
No, you're wrong.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
No.
There's 3 intersections.
That's exactly what we go through, isn't it?
Right.
At the end of my road, it's not Portsmouth Avenue, okay?
What is it?
It's, wait a minute, let me think, what's the name of that road? It's a little short road, there's only.
Greenland Road
Greenland Road.
in Portsmouth.
Greenland
And
Road,
when you
Portsmouth.
cross into Greenland, it becomes Portsmouth Ave and
Exactly,
Greenland. Right.
exactly.
Yep.
Okay.
And then it's on this side. We're on Portsmouth Ave too.
Yes, you are.
So there's 3 Portsmouth Aves and there'll only be 1 when this whole process is done.
We'll see
I don't
about
know.
I want it.
All 3
been here
sections
longest.
want it. Right,
that. I get to beat Bob. So now you answered the question.
that's right. If
Why
you
it
live on a
takes us
street
so
that
long.
says Great or Bay, you won't be.
That's the Bay Roads we're doing first, because those are the biggest screw-ups we've had.
Okay.
Biggest.
Karen, question. Do you think you have enough money for salt?
For salt?
Yeah.
I hope so. I think so. I did re-increase on this plowing. I put that back to the 420. I am currently overspent $64,000 in my snow plowing for 2017, and I have not received the bills for this past week.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And salt, I'm at 102,000 for salt. But I haven't seen any delivered yet in December.
And the streetlights are all taken care of too, right?
Yeah, no, there are 2 street lights in town that have not been changed to the LED. One is on Portsmouth Avenue near Mr. Krasko's house.
Right. Thank you.
So we are still working on that one, but yes, the rest of the town has been switched to LED
They're putting black lights up there.
Thank you.
I knew exactly what you were trying to do.
How
Yes, sir.
does salt pricing work? Does that fluctuate market price? Is it?
I put it out to bid every year. It's down to only 2 companies that bid around here, Eastern Salt and Granite State Mineral. And so they both stay pretty competitive with each other. We're very fortunate because the salt prices to different towns are based on the mileage from where the salt pile is to bring it to the town. So we have what we pay 52 right now. Let me see. It's in here, but
$54.38 per ton.
$54.38 a ton. It's one of the lowest in the state because the salt piles are in Portsmouth. Eastern gives us a good price because they're right in Portsmouth. And that includes the transportation.
Thank you.
Okay, all set. Moving on to, Health and Human Services. I think that's kind of dry.
Yeah, these are the health
Right.
agencies.
Not that many like they used to be years ago. But, anybody have any questions on that? Anyone to discuss on that? Nothing? Go on to recreation. I have a question to ask the rec department. In your budget, you're asking for $12,000 to put up new fencing at Maloney Field. What's wrong with the fence there now?
There's not a fence around what they use for the soccer field or the lacrosse field, and people are parking and coming on to the softball field when they're very busy. So we wanted to keep them off. It was to keep, there's 2 fences that we want to do. We're not sure if we're going to get both of them done. By one of the goalies, if you guys recall, I didn't bring my stuff. I have pictures. But one of the goals goes into the softball field behind it.
Yep.
The other one goes into the woods. There's a lot
Yep.
of poison ivy. They want to do some type of netting or something to catch all the balls.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't know how we're going to do that yet. We're going out the cheapest route possible.
2 big poles with nets.
Well, that's what we're
Just
going
like
to
the
do.
golf course.
Well, that's essentially what we're going to do. But yeah, we just haven't done the logistics on it. And then the other fence is we want to kind of corral the parking because they're coming down onto the softball
I
field.
thought there was a gate there. There used to be a
They
gate
used to
years
be,
ago.
they had one that went kind of around like the softball field. They
Yes, they
took
did.
that down because the flag football and other people use that
Who took it down?
years ago before, I don't know. I'm assuming Pafford took it down. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. But they took it down because they use that area that's kind of no man's land and then kind of like this outfield and the softball field. And they utilize that as another multi-purpose field. And they get money from the Portsmouth Youth Football by letting the flag football practice there, and then the youth football on the soccer field, the lacrosse field. So we want to corral the cars. That's the main purpose of that.
Okay, I like the idea, but the only problem I'm having is the funding. You got $63,000 in your fund.
I'm aware of that.
Why aren't you using this fund to take $12,000 out of that?
Well, I asked Karen that, and I didn't know I was going to be questioned. I would have been better prepared, but it's my understanding that because it's an asset for the town, it comes out of the town funding, not
Right,
the
the way the warrant
department.
article is written for the revolving fund for recreation,
Yep,
it's used for recreation programming, not necessarily
Not
for
maintenance.
maintenance it can be
It's
because that's a program, but this is a capital improvement. Like,
So I
they
went
couldn't
through
go out and
that,
buy
yeah.
land with that fund. It's a capital improvement. And that's why it's listed under equipment permanent. They buy the baseballs, all, the soccer balls, they buy all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, I realize that.
And they use the fund for maintenance on the
Yep.
fields. But equipment permanent has always been the capital improvement to the town's property.
Okay.
Sharon, is this fence where you're talking about where the parking comes in, is it like also a safety issue?
Of course, because some cars, there's nothing that, and we're not really sure how we're gonna mark out the parking because it is rock and grass. But we wanna say to them, okay, no cars go onto the field here and no one goes on the field here with
Yeah, I already
fencing.
think that where those cars park and when there's little kids on
Oh,
the field,
yeah.
it's already kind of a safety issue because there's no fence.
right.
And I also sort of feel like if we're gonna just throw 15 grand in the budget here, then it's for a safety issue, it's for, public safety, then I feel like when there's needed money for this other safety issue, a proper consideration should be made to this other thing over here. Right, if this is also a safety issue.
Why don't you, Sharon, why don't you put up, that one-arm gate that swings open, and then you can lock it at night. You can't go through that. And that will stop the cars from going down this
There's not a lot of parking there, though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
It's
just-
where they're parking, Bob.
You
It's
can-
not.
you can-
For the
Tens
events,
and
it's
tens.
dropping off, it's.
If you ever been there for, like, we had the youth football jamboree there one year, it was crazy where people were parking. It was ridiculous, and we'd like to make that, the road wider too, because it was hard, people were like trying to do an 18-point turn to turn around, because they would drive down that road and get kind of stuck.
Yeah,
So
there's
it's-
no
it's-
turn there.
So we just need to, we're trying to think of minor things that we can do that, because we like to do things down the road, but we know that that's probably not gonna happen anytime soon. So we wanna make sure we plan this properly. I realized there was a fence there before, but it was taken down for, from what I understand, a pretty good reason.
Question, who owns the land abutting that field down there? Is that Bruce's
I
land?
don't know.
Some of it's,
Some of it is Chick, some of it is
Yeah.
town, some of it is the city of Portsmouth.
some of it's
No,
mine.
no.
Or my husband's, yeah, it's mine and my husband, yeah. We abut the rec field.
Where?
I'm not telling
I'm
you.
talking, I can find out, easy enough. Trust me. I'm talking down near the ball field, the backstop, that clump of woods right there.
That's all
That's-
town.
That was town. Yeah,
That's town.
Town.
Ralston is some of that too.
Yeah, Bruce Lawson owns some of that.
Some of that is Bruce,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you ever thought of approaching them and asking them if you could buy it and then just strip the land and put a parking lot there?
You could
Let me,
We actually go in behind.
increase that line item for, no, I never thought about asking.
Mr. Chairman, I think we're off the
Can I-
subject.
Could you do something more natural than, like, fence, like,
Right.
people with the
We're
large
talking about
boulders down?
recreation's budget,
Yeah.
we don't need to
Yeah.
suggest how
Yeah.
recreation
I'll
does
perfect
its
it a
job.
little more.
We're here to
We are
discuss
going
Feeling
cost
it,
effective, we've
No, no,
called,
leave
we've
you off.
called
You can
fencing
do that.
companies and we're like,
Yes.
we're
Okay,
not going with
They
that.
can get it if they
Based-
want a fence.
let's, let's get back on track here.
But based on what
Back to the
Karen,
budget.
based on what Karen said about that being an asset, and then other things would be program related, everything beyond that 12,000 appears to be program related.
No,
No?
she can explain it better. what-
No, we try to maintain, we don't pay for any of their programs. Baseball, anything like that.
Soccer.
All of the programs are paid directly out of that revolving fund. Their expenses and income are pretty much flat each year, and they've maintained a balance of around $60,000 for the past 4 or 5 years anyway. When the fund was first established about 10 years ago, it received income for 2 years and it was not drawn on. That's where that balance initially came from, and now it's just been stable.
Okay, I was looking at it and I just had a question.
I asked you the same thing. So,
Anyway, okay.
Because in the, like, the park section in groundskeeping, this is not only just the recreation fields, that's Remembrance Park, the gazebo, Ralston Park, places that aren't necessarily used for recreation, but they're still town green spaces. That's all included in there.
Okay. All right, anything else on the recreation?
Is there revenue? I mean, there is some revenue here, isn't there?
Not from recreation. The recreation program revenue goes into their revolving fund, which then they use to pay all their program expenses.
Okay, so all,
And the balance in that account right now is,
$62,982.
yeah.
That's just because I haven't put in a bunch of bills, trust me.
No, I'm not.
A couple came in today,
I'm sure.
a couple referees.
Okay. Library? Where did I put that? Oh, here it is. This was all passed out to you by Denise. Denise, can you tell me what your changes are, please?
So we had income, in December, after the last, trustees meeting, that was deposited in December, so I wanted to get it updated for the gross budget for 2018. And the trust fund check came in higher than, anticipated, so I wanted that to be reflected in the 2018 gross budget. So it's a difference of $355, and the lines that increased were copies and faxes, the lost and damaged line, donations, the non-resident card, and then the trust fund. So that increased the money that I could spend by $355. On the expense lines, I added $245 to the book line, and then $110 to the equipment and repairs line. So the town appropriation stays the same. I just have extra money to spend in those two areas.
So what was the bottom line?
Bottom line stays the same for the town. Town appropriation is still the $293,518.
Say that again?
The town appropriation.
Oh, I think so.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was on.
The town appropriation is
Oh,
$293,518.
Oh, I see.
That didn't change.
All right. Everything else stayed the same?
Yeah.
Good. Anybody have any questions about the library?
Pretty flat.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Does, anybody have any other business? No other business? Anybody want to make a motion?
I do have other business.
Oh, wait a minute.
Whoa.
Just taking a vote yet.
Just want to remind the committee to please submit any questions in advance so we can get through next Tuesday's school board meeting as efficiently as possible.
Okay, and this is a reminder that you had missed prior.
You missed this.
You sent that out to a tiny little slap on the wrist. You sent that out to all of the budget committee members as a group email in violation of the right to know law. And so as members started to reply all or ask questions as a group with everybody listening, that becomes a meeting, and it's a violation of the right to know law. So if anyone wants to respond to you, one person can respond to you only at a time.
Right.
Don't anyone use reply all.
Thank you. Don't use reply all.
Do not.
Remind you, if you got a question you want everybody to know about, go through Charlotte with it.
Yeah, go through Charlotte.
So just CC it over to them.
Right, yeah.
It's funky.
Email's discoverable.
It is discoverable, and it's also, because even if someone else doesn't respond, they were listening. So it's still a quorum of the meeting.
Okay,
Just a tiny slap, that's
next
all.
meeting, before we adjourn, okay, next meeting is gonna be next Tuesday. all right? And that's gonna be on the school. That's gonna be the 19th. next
Wait,
week.
here?
That's the only date, Sharon, that we can do this, because it was omitted from this, and we spoke about it with Charlotte and Karen, and the only date that we can do this is next Tuesday.
It's gonna be here?
Right here, yeah, 6:30, okay? I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Don't look so sad, Sharon.
Read out. Read out.
Read up, yes, it will be the school budget, so we're gonna be here for a while. Guaranteed.
Can't wait. Nah.
Okay, anybody wanna make a motion to adjourn?
Very good. I move to adjourn.
I second it. All those in favor? All in favor of adjourning? Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next week.
How was that fun? I'm sorry. I'm not,
Comfy chair.
Snacks, yeah.
But you
Something
had
festive.
all the
I know.
I did, but it
If it was on Christmas Day, I'd be here.
I know. I
Sorry.
planned my
too.
calendar.
I'll be good.
Can I ask a quick question? Plans, the appropriation really went yes, they started for a flat rate.
So I put in
Bob,
can I come late?
same last year, a little bit more for the year. That's what they sent to us.
I don't mind.
I know exactly what it is. I'm just trying to figure out.
You'll be here, right?
People just
I
decided
will
to
be
do
19.
71. Yeah, I think you would have had to plan, you know, this year. 10 or 12. Last year, one meeting anyways.
I remember that.
And I don't know if it was on, they haven't said that for the rate.
Well, because
Right?
that was Brian again. That was no one knows.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
And I wrap my head around it. I'm really happy, that's thank you. You know, I will tell you, I wish I could tell you this. My daughter is in 6th grade, and she's at group in a large class. And she says, she goes, Mom, it's like going to the zoo every day. It's so many kids, I feel like I'm in a zoo. Usually both of them try back, but the class is so big. She said, I feel like they go to the zoo every day.
Really?
Yes.
Kids must be different today, because I had 3 daughters working in school, 28, 30 kids in class. No problem.
I like parents, we have one that's not like 15.
Difference is though.
15 and up.
Your kids are just like, they stay in the same classroom.
Yeah.
No, that's the difference.
My girls.
Oh, yeah, they did.
No, I think you're a man of I am first and last. I'm I like going to St.
Oh, you see it when Michael Cameron made a